Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Facebook Ad Kingdom podcast. Here we tackle some of the biggest questions surrounding Facebook ads, e-com businesses, entrepreneurship, products, and much more. There's so much more, and we don't swear, so it's kosher. You know all about that. I'm Morty Rapp, your host, and with me is Azriel Ratz, founder. Why did I say founder of Ratz Pack Media? Yeah, it's a personality thing. Founder of Ratz Pack Media, and today we are going to be talking about something super cool. We're doing a Facebook ad audit live. Are you guys ready to rock? Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready, yeah.
All right, Israel, talk me.
So let's start by sharing my screen. Now, you over there in the podcast world, possibly on Spotify or iTunes. Is this on iTunes?
It's not on iTunes. I was not able to successfully make an iTunes account.
We got to work on that. We got to get on iTunes. We got to get on iTunes. But in the meantime, you don't get to watch this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through what I would do if I'm looking at a brand new account. Good news is I have a brand new account. And in this brand new account, well, I did get to do an audit already. Before I actually touch anything in the ad account, I want to go check out a couple of other things. So on the left-hand side, we get a whole list of options, and I'm going to look for Events Manager, and I'm going to look for Audiences. I'm going to open those two up. I haven't yet touched anything in the ad account, and there's a reason for that. The first thing I want to know is, what is going on in this company? So the good news is that Facebook has this phenomenal tool called the Facebook Ad Pixel, and everyone that has a business, 100%, whether or not you're running Facebook ads, should put your Facebook Pixel on the website. As far as I can tell, more than 30% of every website on earth has a Facebook Pixel. So if you're in that 30%, great. If not, it takes about 1 minute to set up your Facebook Pixel. You never have to think about it ever again. Possibly when you're updating the back end of your website, you might have to do something, but WordPress has a setup, and Shopify has a setup, and Magento has a setup, BigCommerce has a setup. So essentially across the board, every major platform from Squarespace to Shopify has some tool that you just log into your Facebook account, choose your proper ad manager, and set up your pixel. So the first thing I want to see is, have you set up your Facebook pixel? And that's something I could check out by just reviewing the total number of events in your ad account. So I can look at the last 28 days of data, and luckily in this account, there's some traffic. I can see here the total number of page views is about 180,000, and then I can see all of the other events that are set up: view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase, search, and add payment info. And what's really great about this is that in 1 second, literally, of looking, I know they have their Facebook pixel set up properly, that it's firing in all the appropriate places, and I know this is an e-commerce store because I'm seeing all of the appropriate e-commerce events. If they were running ads for lead generation, I might expect to see registrations or leads or applications, something like that. So initially, I already have a bunch of information about this company just by looking at the events in the Events Manager. On top of that, this is not just tracking the data from the Facebook ads, meaning some people think Facebook's only tracking data that's occurring on the Facebook ads themselves. You're spending money, you're sending traffic, and therefore the data is showing only the data from the Facebook ads. That's not what's happening here. This is showing all of the website data, not the money that you're spending, but even your email marketing, your Google, your SMS, your organic, your Instagram posts, whatever that is. This is showing all of that traffic. So while I'm here, I'm going to look for a very important metric, and that important metric is conversion rate. I want to know from the number of users that get to the website, how many of them actually convert? And the number I am looking for is 1%. That is somewhere between 1 and 2% is relatively average for e-commerce. And it gives me a really good understanding of how this website's doing overall. They're sending traffic. Are they converting at that number? So for this specific website, I already know they are not currently in their active high season, so I would expect it to be a little lower, but I'm just going to do the math. 9,767 divided by 178,500, and that number comes out to a 0.054, which is 50% to 200% lower than I would hope. Somewhere between a 1 and a 2%. This is a 0.5% conversion rate, which means already there's red flags. Now, it is true that they are on low season, but if already they're converting at half the rate of a regular website, it means that as an advertiser, you're already thinking, I'm going to have to send traffic here for 50% less than I would typically have to pay from some other company simply to get the same cost per conversion as I'm getting on another website. If the conversion rate on another website is 2% and this one is 0.5, I have to get clicks for 1/4 the price. And that already potentially might mean that I need something, which we'll get to when we get closer to that metric, something later that will enable me to get that cost per click. And so right here, I haven't looked at a single ad. I don't know what the creative looked like. I don't know who they're targeting. I don't know anything. All I know is that this website currently is driving conversions at a rate of 1/2 to 1/4 the typical conversion rate of a website. And this teaches me that there likely is something on the website I could fix to enable the user to purchase just that much faster. And maybe if we have time, we'll actually jump into the landing pages to see if there's something we could do to optimize that. That's the first thing I look at. The second thing I look at is the audience tab. What I'm looking for here is if they've created all of the audiences you'd expect to see in the ad account. The idea behind this is that Facebook has a lot of options for targeting. We're going to open another tab just so I could show you all those options for targeting, even though we're not actually sharing our screens here. But just for the sake of making sure that we cover all of the details, we're going to open up an ad account that allows me to create audiences. And we're going to see just how many custom audiences a user can make. If you can see the screen like Morty can, you see that there's a bunch of sources that we could use to target users. The first group of sources is sources I own, my website, my app, my emails, my phone numbers, my store data. And I can upload that data, whether it's through the Facebook Pixel, the Facebook SDK for apps, or by uploading a CSV. I could tell Facebook, here are the people that are engaging with my sources. And I can create an audience, and I can target those people within Facebook. The second group of sources is sources owned by Facebook. This includes anyone that watches videos on Facebook or Instagram, anyone that engages in any way with a Facebook or Instagram account. That includes liking the page. That includes likes, comments, shares, saves, messages, visits to the Instagram or Facebook. On top of that, I could target anyone that engages with IG shopping, anyone that engages with a lead form, anyone that engages with an instant experience, which would be called like a canvas ad, anyone that engages with events. Those are opportunities that I have for targeting both the audience itself and the lookalike audience from that brand. So what I want to do within the ad account is I want to see if they've even created these types of audiences. So on the left side, there's actually a drop-down menu for sources. And you can just go down the line check marking and seeing they have created a few of these audiences, but the last time that they were used was in 2022. So even though these audiences are made, and I'm actually scrolling through this one, while they have page view 60 days, checkout 60 days, purchase 30 days, add to cart 60 days, they don't actually have an audience, ironically enough, for website visitors 180 days. It is not listed in the list of all their audiences in here for an audience that actually targets everyone that visited the website in the last 180 days. So there's already an opportunity, potentially, of users that came to this company's website but have not come back in between 100, like what I'm seeing here, 60 and 180 days is potentially a huge number of people that know the brand but simply haven't visited the site. Already, I see an opportunity. The fact that the audience doesn't exist means they cannot possibly be targeting that audience within ads. So before I've ever looked at the ad account, I know it is physically impossible for them to have targeted at all in any situation the audience of the last 180 days, website visitors. The next one I'm going to see is the customer list. And I see they have, in fact, uploaded customer list, great. But from the looks of it actually looks, they recently updated the list on May 20th. So that's great. So they have an updated list of users that purchase the email list of their from their site. The next one is video views. In here, now of course Facebook's very buggy, so you don't always get to see it on the first time, but you can see here that they do in fact have audiences, and they created them quite a long time ago, back in 2022. But none of these videos have enough views to actually be able to target. What you don't see is that all of these audiences are estimated to be below 1,000 visitors. So something obviously is set up incorrectly here. If we then go to their Instagram page and see they've been posting in the last year and have some amount of video views. Underneath that is pages. That's specifically the Facebook page. And you can see here, they created it, but they haven't touched these audiences in years. And I can actually click in and see the history of the usage of the account, and never have these audiences been used. So even though they were created, none of them were ever used. It has here engaged and page likes. They were created in 2022. No ad ever targeted those users. I'm going to skip down to Instagram, same exact thing. It's not loading properly for me. It comes and goes which is a little frustrating. But basically, I could see here the same exact thing. The Instagram was created in 2022 and then was never actually used in targeting. And that's yet again another big opportunity. Essentially, that's all I care about. If in the situation where the companies run a ton of lead form ads, I can go in and see lead form ads. But already what I know is in the last calendar year, they have not targeted website visit 180 days. They have not properly targeted their engagement on social. They did update recently their customer list, which is really great. And they didn't set up properly their targeting for video viewers. So already that's 4 audiences that I know would be potentially really great warm audiences to target that they're not leveraging. But the fact that I know those audiences don't exist make me believe that they also did a not great job targeting lookalike audiences. When I go and I can see there are quite a lot of lookalike audiences here going all the way back to 2018. But almost all of them are only the email list and the purchaser data, not video views, not engagement and social followers, not website visitors, not pixel data. Let's see. Nope. None of these. Maybe one of these is data from the pixel, but it's not the most optimized lookalike audiences that you can create. And therefore, that's yet another opportunity for targeting that they haven't been trying that can be updated and targeted and tried within the ad account. The third one I'm going to check is saved audiences, just because I'm curious what in general they are looking to target as a business. The fact that they went and created a saved audience makes me believe, at least, that they are creating some specific targeting within Facebook. And I can go in here and I can see they actually just recently, back in April, created 3 audiences. And I can go in and see how they set it up. I can go in, and from in here, it's just telling me the country that they're targeting, the age demographic, the gender, and a single interest. I'm going to go to the second one, and I'm going to see additional interests, same targeting as far as the country, same gender, same ages. And then a third one that is specific states, meaning in theory, they're targeting just their most targeted regions for them based on where their purchases are from, and leaving open all additional interests. Now, this already makes me believe that they, in theory, have seen results within the interest targeting, and therefore there might be something we could do in addition to the custom audiences and the lookalike audiences that we already mentioned, potentially the opportunity to find other targeting that they haven't already tried, at least in the last calendar year, to find audiences simply based on interest. Now, what's really great is that there's a tool, and I love that tool. I think it's $100 or $99 one time, called Interest Explorer. You use it to like interestexplorer.io or something like that. And what it does is it actually indexes the entire Facebook interest database, and you can search it sort of like Google and try to find overlapping interests. So imagine in a situation where you're trying to get people with the interest of luxury handbags. You might start typing in different companies, Gucci, Armani, stuff like that, and you'll get lists. You'll find what is available for targeting, what isn't, and you could just sort of save it all within Interest Explorer, and you might end up creating 10, 20, 30 interests. and then just copy paste that straight into Facebook. But the fact that they, one, create lookalike these saved audiences, and two, have tested interest means that it's likely they don't know about a tool like this. And I could come in and introduce a whole bunch of new interest targeting simply based on the fact that they were limited to only 2 interests that they targeted since they created ads in 2024. And the last time they did this was not since 2022. So all of those older audiences haven't been tested. Even if they did work at some point, they haven't been tested for sure in the last calendar year. So at this point, I'm effectively ready to go into the ad account. There is one more thing I want to check. I always want to check when checking on a new account that I don't know about. I want to see that they have properly been able to pay Facebook. Now, I don't have access to this ad account, so I am actually not able to see on the level of payments if they are in good standing, if they're able to pay Facebook. What I'm looking for is $900. Essentially, what that means is that Facebook has released all their restrictions. New ad accounts typically can only spend $50 to $100 a day for the first, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks of running ads. So that's a big hindrance. You're like excited for a new campaign, and then you find out you can't even run ads more than $50. And I meet a ton of brands like this. Like I'm in talks right now with a brand that wants to run ads for the next 3.5 weeks, but I haven't even seen their ad account. I might come in and find out that they're limited to spending $50 a day. Meanwhile, they only have 3 weeks to do testing, and they just waited too long to get that approval. The way you get out of it is just by successfully paying Facebook over time. Facebook now begins to be able to trust your credit card. And since they can trust your credit card, they can start charging you more in bulk. And that's why I'm looking for that $900 number. That means that Facebook's fully approved your ad account. You should, in theory, be able to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every day. And that means that you have that opportunity to scale. Great. So we've covered quite a lot. Morty, if you have any specific questions in this, I'm happy to answer those. But
no, this is great.
We now know they have a Facebook pixel. It's tracking all the proper events. This website is converting at lower than we expect it to. They've created some audiences, but really haven't done much intense targeting in well over a year. And there are some audiences, both the custom audience and the lookalike audience, that they haven't tested and never created. And therefore, that's already opportunities that we can be looking for in the ad account. So now we're going to jump into the ad account itself. When I'm looking at an ad account, I want to look at least at the last 3 months of ads. Because I'm not sure that this company ran that many ads in the last 3 months, I'll go back to the beginning of the year, so the last 6 months. The date of recording is July 21st, so that gives us just about 6.5 months. And I can actually see in this campaign, in this account, they spent about $75,000. So what I want to do within that $75,000 is actually get to look at data. So anyone that's been in the ad account, the first thing they'll notice is that Facebook by default sets their columns to performance. To me, performance is the very worst setup that an account can have their column set up as, because it actually doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you your CPM, doesn't tell you your CPC, doesn't tell you your cost per conversion, doesn't tell you the number of purchases that you had overall. It doesn't tell you your cost per purchase. It doesn't tell you your conversion rate, your return on ad spend, or anything that's actually useful. So the first thing we want to do is switch from performance to performance and clicks. And already we're in a much better spot because we can see our impressions, we can see our CPMs, we can see our link clicks, our CPC, our click-through rates, already in a much better place by just one additional click. But I don't want to stop there. I want to go in and customize columns. I want to look for some very specific columns. So the first thing I type in is the word purchase. And from there, I can see I can add the number of purchases, the cost per purchase, the total return on ad spend, and the value. I'm going to just uncheck a bunch of these checkboxes that appear on the side of the screen, because what that does, if you have this, for businesses that have data within their site, their app, and their offline purchases, you want to be able to see them all separately. Most of the businesses I work with don't have all these, so I don't need them separate. But in theory, if you're running shops, if you're running an app, if you're running, a lot of sales in your store, this is something you'll be able to do and track where the sales are actually coming from, which is pretty phenomenal to be able to run an ad on Facebook and know the sales that are coming into your physical store because of the ads that the user saw an ad and then showed up at the store and actually purchased. But on top of those metrics, there's some metrics that Facebook doesn't have. So I want to create two custom metrics. The first custom metric I want to create is my AOV, my average order value. We spoke about this a ton on the podcast before. So the first I'm going to type in is conversion, and this is conversion. I'm just looking for the one that is labeled purchase conversion value, and I'm going to divide that by the total number of purchases. And I'm going to label this AOV, and I'm going to make sure that anyone that has access to this ad account can also use the same metrics, because once it's created, why not get to use it more? And so that one's now created. And the last one I want to create is my conversion rate, which we already created. Unfortunately, which I would like, Facebook only shows 2 decimal places, which is pretty unhelpful when I'm looking for a number that's between 0.001 and 0.02. So it's not the most helpful metric here, but it just gives me an easy breakdown to see how different ad campaigns have run. But it's essentially the same conversion rate as just the total number of purchases, if I can spell purchases, divided by the number of link clicks. And we're going to just have that one also conversion rate. And we're going to conversion rats, almost the same. And we're going to also set that up and click create. And then we can scroll through. And of course, they recheck all my checkboxes, which is an incredible pain in the butt to have to uncheck these. I honestly don't know why they don't have it check on, because I feel like most businesses probably don't use them. And then I'm just going to remove like some of these. I don't typically remove these because I don't mind having extra data, but like I'm just going to remove a handful of these rankings just so that we could see all of our data together nicely. And then what we end up with is a much more useful, I probably would have also removed attribution settings, but a much more useful set of data here. I can literally scroll across the screen and easily see return on ad spend on this account is at 2.5. The average order value, where's my AOV? It's not even here. My AOV, there it is. My AOV and my conversion rate. And so I'm able to see in here, my cost per purchase is $110. My average return on ad spend is a 2.57. My average AOV is 285. And my conversion rate is a 2%, right? So all I've done so far, without looking at the structure, who the targeting is, or what the ads that are running, I already have a pretty good sense of what's going on here. Number one, my AOV is high. Typically, we spoke about this before, we want to be sitting between $100 and $250. The reason why we mentioned that before is anything under $100 means that it's going to be pretty difficult to get a good return on ad spend, unless you have super high profit margins, like you're selling an ebook or a course or something that you make for $1 and sell for 85. It's going to be very difficult to get a good profit margin if your average order value is lower than $100. So that's the first thing we look for. The second thing we look for is if it's too high. You imagine if someone's selling a luxury bag for $2,000, the user needs a whole lot more touch points to be able to be convinced to buy than if they are just buying a dress for $100. So what I want to look for is my AOV too high? And so this one is 285. It's a little bit higher than I expected, but what that means is it's still pretty close to my range of $100 to $250. And therefore, I'm in a relatively good place to be able to get a good profit margin when running the ads.
We forgot to mention one thing, though, about AOV. The concept of it being $100 is we're talking about feeding them one ad and responding to that one ad and buying, right? That's the main goal.
Correct. So the idea is generally we know what users actually end up buying on our site because we have the data to show for it. So I actually see brands, they'll release new arrival product, send ads to the new arrival landing page, but then they know that at the end of the day, the user is just going to end up on the bestseller page and end up buying. But when we send directly the bestseller page, they don't just find the product they want and search. They first sort of want like recognition. They've located the product in the image. They find that product on the site. Okay, you sent me to the right place. And now I'm going to go and search for the products I actually want. I saw this a lot with baby clothing where they would see a product. They might add that product to cart, but then they're going to go and search and find additional products. And by sending them to a collection page versus a specific product landing page, I've enabled the user to browse rather than take this product and leave, which is what we don't want because that leads to a considerably lower average cart. So it's true that what we want is as much as possible to give the user a simple experience where they get from the ad to the product that they want and buy. But in some cases, we have to give them additional steps so that they actually end up browsing on our site and buying more than they would have anticipated than when they came to the site originally. So the idea would be, imagine if you had an ad with a new arrival, and so that's exciting and they drive traffic. But then on your new arrival page, you actually throw in a handful of bestseller products, maybe like product 3 and product 16 and product 22. So the user is browsing like, whoa, that's a really great product. It's because you placed it there. And there are actually tools on Shopify that can do this for you where they in real time update your collection pages to show products that might be more relevant. Like I even heard if it's raining that day, it shows products that are more geared towards rain. Like it'll show you a jacket higher up in the feed. If it's colder, it'll show warmer products. And what's crazy is, like, I run ads for an amusement park. And what we find is that when the temperature drops below 60 degrees, even though they're not planning to go to the amusement park till Sunday when it's going to be warm, sales for the tickets drop because the user's not thinking, oh, Sunday it's going to be warm. They think, oh, it's cold right now. If it rains on Tuesday, they get less sales for that coming Sunday. It's like a little wild, but that's how users work. They come in expecting one thing, and then you show them a product, and because it's relevant to the weather or whatever the location that they're in, you find that people in New York buy a product more than people in Las Vegas. So in New York, you should show a specific product. And there are tools like this that actually exist to, in real time, show the IP address, match it to the weather, and show them specific products in the feed. Great. So we have our AOV, but then we have a very shocking number here. I just looked overall at Events Manager, and I saw that the conversion rate in the last 28 days was a 0.05. But the conversion rate on these ads is so much higher, a 0.02, which is 2%. 2%, which is 4 times higher than I'm seeing in the last 30 days. So already I'm like wondering what's going on. And I can see the first thing I notice is there's this one ad that has an incredibly high conversion rate of a 14%, which is bananas crazy. But then what I see is that it's just one sale. And so it probably is throwing off all the data in here, why that one sale managed to get that high of a conversion rate, and the ad only spent $52. So, okay, a little less exciting. So now that I have all the columns I want, I'm going to sort the ads by the total amount spent in the account. And I can see essentially out of the 130 total campaigns in this ad account, 11 of them spent the bulk amount of money in the last 7 months. So I'm actually just going to sort and only view these top 11. And out of $74,000, it spent $67,000, which is the far majority. Over 85% of all the ad spend is just represented in these 11 ad campaigns. I could essentially ignore the other 90%, more than 90% of the ads, because they just simply didn't spend enough in the last 6 months for it to be a relevant thing. What I want to see from these ads is what are the current metrics. So I see that their CPM's $20. $20 CPMs is a little bit higher than I'd like. I would, in theory, like to see $10 to $15. 20 is not crazy, not that much more expensive, but it's a thing to note that the CPMs are a little higher here than I would like. The next thing I see is that the cost per click is $2.13, which again is that same a little bit higher than I'd like. I'd like about $1 cost per click. But because I'm paying double what I'm hoping for CPM-wise, it makes sense that the cost per click is that $2 mark. So the first thing I'd be asking is there something I could do to either lower the CPM or increase the next number, the CTR? We've mentioned this in the past. A good CTR, click-through rate, is 1%. They are just about that 1%. But maybe there's something that we could do looking at the ad creative and say, maybe there's a strategy that we could use to get users to click more by having more engaging campaigns. As an example, I'm running ads for a dating website, and when I was looking at the campaigns before, their click-through is a 0.8. But when I went and looked at the ads, I said, these ads don't feel to me like ads that would only get clicked on 0.8%. They feel like much more engaging ads. So I want to run a test, just testing the way I have ads set up versus how you have ads set up. and see if that allows us to get a CTR of higher than 0.8. And overnight, we were able to enhance the click-through rate from a 0.8 to a 2.8. That's 4 times, almost 4, like 3.
And it was just a technical setup. Better.
Say again?
It was just a technical setup. That was the change.
Technical setup. Literally just by making sure that Facebook had the proper targeting set up in the structure of the ad sets, we were able to go from a click-through rate of 0.8 to a 2.8, which means that we're able to drive clicks for a third of the price just by making that technical change. And it's because of looking at these numbers. I still haven't looked at how the campaigns are set up, who's being targeted, what creative, how many creatives are being run in here. And I can already see that there might be some things I could do to potentially lower the click-through rate, the cost per impression, and increase the click-through rate, thereby driving down cost per click. So we're going to jump from here to the ad set level. And the ad set level is actually going to show me who's being targeted. Now I see here that almost all of the audiences are labeled CBO and then the name of the targeting that they're using here. I'm again going to sort by ad spend, because while it's true that all 11 campaigns spend money, at the end of the day, if I sort again from that 67,000, only 9 spent 64,000 of the dollars, which is again, well over 90% of the ad spend is represented in just these 9 ad sets. So these are likely the only ones worth looking at when it comes to actually what's going on. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to look at within this targeting, the CPM is about the same, the click-through rate's about the same, the cost per click is about the same, the cost per purchase is the same, which you'd expect these things to happen because we're just looking at the most spend. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go through and look at each of the targeting. I see here this one's set up as an ASC campaign, so I'm not expecting very much as far as targeting. What I will check within the ASC is if he has set up excluded audiences. And I see that he has defined his customer list as just an updated list from May, but he does not have an engaged audience. And it actually shows nothing's defined here. Facebook is defining engaged as website visitors and engagement on social. So you can actually upload to Facebook your in the back end of your audience segments within your like Facebook ad account setup. And within here, you would be able to split up and let Facebook tell you who is an engaged user versus who's a totally cold user and see how the spend's being split up. But because they haven't set that up, there's no way to check. We can, in this, get a breakdown of the customer audiences by demographic, audience segment, and we can see within these ASC campaigns that the far majority of spend is going towards new audiences, but that doesn't include potentially the retargeting of the customer audiences, sorry, the website visitors and the social engagement. But we already know they didn't create those audiences in the audience segments, so they couldn't possibly have set this up because they don't have an audience for 180 days. They don't have an audience for social engagement. They don't have an audience for video views. So there's no way for them to even be able to check this data point if they are in fact running these ASC, which potentially could be cold audience targeting, to what is really their warm audiences, and they don't have any way of checking that. So great, now we know. Next, so that first one was, actually I think it might have resorted because I had to go into the ASC. That one also is ASC. The next one after it is also ASC. The fourth one's also ASC. If we see a little pattern going on here, the far majority of the ad spend is actually going towards totally cold targeting, not leveraging those audiences we mentioned, because they never created them. They never got tested. We see here that the first one that's not an ASC is actually dynamic product ad, which means that that is specifically targeting defined audience, actually an ASC DPA. It's targeting cold with a dynamic product ad. For those who are not familiar, a dynamic product ad is an an ad created specifically from the catalog. What this allows you to do is within Shopify, again, within the setup for your Facebook pixel setup, it sets up a catalog automatically. This pulls in your images, your headlines, your descriptions, all of the data from your products. It enables it to connect directly within Facebook, and you can now create collections the same way you create like a bestseller or new arrivals or by specific color or design. You can create that within Facebook and then run ads that are most likely a set of carousel ads, which is exactly what we see here. It's a carousel ad of the different products, and the user, Facebook's optimizing the experience of the ad based on the user that's being targeted. These obviously work better for retargeting users. This ad is targeting cold audiences, and so therefore we don't know how well these are performing, except just by being able to see the conversion rate, click-through rate, which we can get to in a second.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And because we've mentioned this a bunch of times, but why would you think people would run ASC campaigns? Is it laziness?
So it is the thing that Facebook tells you to run. Like if you sit on a call with Facebook, which they're very, like every person that has access to ad accounts gets called like all the time. I'm called like 4 or 5 times a week from different ad accounts that I don't even run just because I have access to them. Like I've helped a person out get their ad account, to get reviewed, to get back up, or an ad that I ran ads for a company, for 2 weeks, 5 years ago, and I saw the access. So I have access to hundreds and hundreds of ad accounts. And so I get calls all the time from Meta. Meta will tell you, just trust the system, let the ASC run the ads. But what they don't tell you is that it requires all of this other stuff we talked a lot about on other things. We need other ad campaigns to teach which audiences work best, to teach which creatives work best, to optimize, within even cold targeting, who they want to target. They're essentially using the data from lookalike audiences, from pixel data, from all these other things. So even if they just tell you and you spend the money, when they actually look at the results, they'll go, oh, you should also make sure to run some CBO campaigns. You also make sure to run some, they'll tell you video view and link clicks, which I hate. I don't see any real reason, unless you're like a crazy big brand spending millions and millions of dollars. I personally think that running ads for link clicks is just money in the garbage. There is no effective reason, and I'll explain very quickly why. When you run ads, when you go to create a campaign, Facebook asks you what it is that you want within the campaign, and they give you an option of awareness, traffic, engagement, and leads and sales. That's essentially, there's also app installs, but if you don't have an app, there's nothing to talk about. Within awareness, it includes reach, video views. Within traffic, it includes landing page views. And within engagement, it includes post engagement. The problem is that when you're targeting a cold audience, whether that's a lookalike, a broad, an interest, a geographic targeting, whatever that looks like, Facebook's actively targeting users that engage with lots of posts, but don't generally purchase. Because if they did purchase, they wouldn't be in these audiences. They'd be in the conversion campaigns. So you're targeting a lookalike audience of 3 million people in America, and Facebook's actively looking for people who just love clicking on links. So I actively have running an ad, which happens a lot to me because I say one thing, Facebook says another thing, and the client says, well, who's right? And I say me, and they say Facebook. And then so what happens is they say, let's just run the test and see how it goes. And I go, well, listen, you're the client. You do whatever you want, right? So as their dutiful ad manager, I go in and I create the ads. And what you see is literally bananas. I'm running ads for link clicks. The conversion rate typically on a regular conversion ad, again, is 1% to 2%. They have run and have gotten tens of thousands, not a couple hundred, not 1,000, tens of thousands of clicks with zero initiate checkouts, not no purchases. We're talking about that the conversion rate on these link click people are so abysmally terrible that you literally are just getting the dregs of the earth users to click on your ads. And then when you want to retarget them, you're just going to spend money to target the worst quality users. So in the situation where I would run these link click ads, which I still wouldn't, I still don't see any reason for them. The only time it really makes sense to me is of 2 things. One is if you're targeting your warm audiences. And the idea behind that is that maybe Facebook is saying this person on your email list, they're not that great of a purchaser. They're not going to purchase because they don't have data. But because they know you, maybe they would. And so running a link click campaign might potentially target that user that would otherwise fall through the cracks of targeting within the sales campaign. But they're worth it because they're your warm user. They're your email subscriber. They're your previous purchaser. They're the 95% video view on Instagram. They're your follower for 10 years. I don't know, whatever it is. So it makes sense sometimes. Again, not really, but maybe. The only other time I could imagine doing this is if you're like really desperate, like you haven't run ads. You haven't run any ads. and you're about to start an enormous sale, like we're talking about like for Black Friday, and you have, 6 weeks till Black Friday, and you want to build up a warm audience, you can really get the most out of your Black Friday. And because you only have that 6-week period, you want to get as many website visitors to your website so that when you do a big sale for Black Friday, whether that's a purchase campaign or from email or SMS or something, you just want to have had users on your website so that you could retarget them. So to run 2-3 weeks of link clicks, maybe at $50 to $100 a day, just to get that data in the system so that when you are going to spend that 2-3 weeks before Black Friday running purchase ads, you have users to target. That to me is really the only reason. Even that's not a great reason. Like if you're only planning your Black Friday strategy 5 weeks before Black Friday, you're in trouble. You should have been running purchase campaigns and driving cold users that are relevant from day one so that when you target them on Black Friday, they are going to be users that would be in the sales account. And when I spoke to Facebook about this, because I've had quite a few lively conversations with Facebook on this topic, they said to me, all the big brands like Coca-Cola, they do this. I said, great, that's amazing. Coca-Cola is throwing $3 million a month at Facebook or whatever that crazy number is. I don't actually know how much they're spending. And they can run as many link click campaigns as they want because they have billions of dollars. And that's phenomenal because you know what happens? When that user finally does buy from Nike because they spent $20 million during Black Friday, guess which audience they're going to show up to when I want to run ads for sales? They're going to be in the sales campaign, not in the link click campaign. So Nike's already spent all their money to warm that user up in the link click and the engagement and the video views so that when it's time for me to run sales ads, that user has shifted to become a salesperson and I can now target them with my sales campaigns. So effectively, there is really no great reason to target for these other metrics. And it's a thing I look for. Luckily, in this campaign, in this ad account, they don't have these. But that's like, to me, the biggest win. If I see an ad account that spent, more than 20-30% of their total budget on these link clicks and video views and engagement, I know.
Hey, you're wasting money.
Not only wasting money, I could come in right now, duplicate the entire campaign as it is, exactly as you have it set up, and just switch the campaign objective and get an enormous win. We're not talking about like a little bit better. We're talking about thousands of times better. We're talking about a 2% conversion rate versus a 0.0002% conversion rate on the same users, the same targeting. So that's like a thing I look for because I want to know, is this a giant opportunity for targeting? I've seen accounts I've literally done just that and we were able to do it. Great. Okay. So we got pretty far down. As far as I can tell, there are only 2 campaigns in this ad sets within this targeting that are not using the ASC. This one is using broad. It's labeled as something, but it doesn't actually have any targeting in here. Oh, I'm on the campaign. Whoops. Ignore that. Jump into the ad set level and try that same thing again. And now let's see if they are targeting. No, they have broad targeting, and this one is. This is the only ad that's actively excluding purchasers, and it has one interest with 20 million people in it, targeting a single interest. And when I click here, I can see there are, without even going into Interest Explorer, I can see there are phenomenal interests that they could be using in here that we could leverage to add on to targeting for interests. And what I notice immediately is that their cost per purchase from that interest is really high. So while their CPM is a little bit better, their cost to get that user to buy is very, very, very expensive. And essentially, in this account, when we just saw that all the conversion rates are above 2, this one ad is getting a 1% conversion rate. So of all of the ads, that one interest targeting is actually getting the worst of all the conversion rates, except one other conversion rate, which is also an ASC campaign. So essentially what I've seen in here, it says lifestyle. I'm just going to see if this one is additional interests. Nope, it's not. It's probably the ad itself. It has to do with lifestyle. So essentially within all of the targeting that we just looked through, they're only running ASC with a tiny budget towards, not tiny, but in comparison, a tiny budget towards a single interest. So not only did we confirm what we saw already in the audiences section, they are not doing any lookalike targeting. They are not really leveraging interest targeting. They are not leveraging custom audiences. They are not properly setting up their ASC campaigns to even know if the ads are getting in front of custom audiences. So now we already have actions to take. We already know we should be running additional tests towards these warmer audience, custom audiences, lookalike audiences, testing, the video views and the email subscribers and the lookalike audiences and all that stuff. Great. Now from here, I want to see the ads themselves. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did on the last two levels. I'm going to sort by ad spend. Sort by ad spend. I'm going to look for the ones that actually spent the most amount of money. And I can see here that essentially out of all 87 active ads, only 20 of them spent $60,000 of the $63,000. So really, those other 60 ads don't actually matter. This is what spent the most amount of money. And again, I'm going to look at the same exact things. The CPM is exactly what it was before. The CPC, exactly what it was before. The click-through rate, exactly what it was before. And your cost per sale, your average order value, and your average cart, all right around that same number that we saw before. So what this essentially means is that out of the 130 campaigns that this company managed, in the last 6.5 months, only these 20 ads spent more than 75% of all the ad budget. So I don't really care all of the other testing they did because they didn't test enough besides these 20. So we're just going to go down the line and see each of these 20 ads. The first one is the catalog ad that we mentioned, and it's exactly what it was before. And so is this a video? It is a video. So it's very interesting that they include a video, and that's great. And we can actually see that the click-through rate is a little higher on this video than on the overall performance of the account. And that might make us start thinking, maybe they're not doing what they should be doing as far as targeting properly for videos. So we see here the second video is also, the second ad is also a video. And we're just going quickly through each of the ads. The third one is an image. The fourth one is loading slowly, a video. And then the one after is again a dynamic product ad. It's the same dynamic product as before. And we're just going to do two more. Another video and another catalog.
What kind of trends are you looking for right now?
So what I'm looking for is that they're doing a nice test between video, image, carousel, DPA, just to know that they're doing a decent job in testing the different things. Because it could be, look, they have a dynamic product ad that's a slideshow, but from what I could see in here, there are no other slideshow ads. Sorry, not slideshow, carousel ads. So maybe it's worth testing additional carousel ads because they don't have any in here. And to go through each of these 20 is quite a laborious thing, but it doesn't look to me, this was labeled as image, this was labeled video, video, image, video, shopping. So it doesn't look to me like they've tested a lot of carousels, but the DPAs generally performed well, except this guy, that performed terrible. But this already tells me there's an opportunity to run a carousel ad because the carousels have performed well, and the imagery on this specific carousel is just product imagery. And because all their products look relatively similar, just based on the product that's being showcased here, they could probably do a better job of custom dynamic products. And there are apps for this where you can create custom versions of each of your images so that they don't look similar. You imagine looking at a bunch of dresses is an engagement experience, right? You see the different colors and the different textures and the different designs and all that. But when you're selling a product that's like a USB charger or something like that, you're just looking at the same image over and over again. It's not that engaging of a product. Yet these ads are getting a good click-through rate. So that tells me that people are interested, maybe potentially having a carousel of videos. And that would allow us to improve the click-through rate and showcase a more interesting list of products rather than just what is shown, automatically from their collection. So I go in here and I see that they have a nice variety of videos and images. And now I begin to think with like my consulting hat on. And I say, is there something I would have expected to see in this specific company's ad account that I don't see? So let me give an example. I was doing an audit like this for a company that was doing vegetable gardens. They're selling the seeds, the dirt, the holders, the bags, the hose and the rakes and all that stuff, and the garbage bags, all that stuff for gardening. And all their videos were these super short, quick montage videos of people gardening. But if I think about gardening as an experience, I know that users of gardening love to watch the full long-term, long experience of gardening. So I would expect them to show me a long 30, 40-minute video of that experience. Like as the user, like sitting in the seat of the user, what is it I'm expecting from this company to show me to be interested and being an interested buyer? Let's do another one. I did an audit like this for a steak company. They're selling steaks online. When I went to their Instagram account, their entire feed was filled with delicious looking steak videos. People literally, preparing the steak and seasoning the steak and wrapping the steak and putting it on the grill and checking on the grill and flipping it and coming back in the middle of the night and taking the temperature and like all that stuff. Like you imagine like the turkeys on Thanksgiving, you're talking about like the pork, like all these amazing videos. And then after it's all done, they pull it off, they let it rest, they cut it open. You see all the juices coming out. They actually put it on a piece of bread, get some mayonnaise on there, take a bite, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Then you go to their ads and it's just like pictures like this that we're seeing, just like pictures of meat. And you're just thinking like, that's not what I want. That's not what I want to see. I don't want to see sale right now, buy for 20. I want to see you making meat. I want to see delicious meat. So that's what I want to come in here as the user of this product and think, what is it that I want to know? And so, you might be a company that's like, we make a specific product. And what does it do? It's easier to use than other products. It's easier to set up than other products. It delivers faster. Talk about those things from the mindset of the user. I'm going to create content that is engaging to the user. And guess what? Most brands already do this. They already make that content. And where do they post it? On their Instagram page. So the next thing I would do right now is I would go to the Instagram page of this company and I would scroll through and I'd see what videos of theirs did well organically. And I would say, why are those not ads? Why are you not leveraging a post that already did well, already got the user's attention, already got to your website, probably already got you sales, and you're not leveraging? So I'm looking in here going, wow, these are all very ad-looking ads. Why are you not using organic posts as ads? And none of these are organic posts. So now I already know there's an opportunity. I know of audiences they're not testing. I know of structures they're not running. I know of improve. But I can literally see right now that if I were to jump in and just start taking a video from a user, like there actually is one in here, and using that as the ad, I would expect a considerably higher click-through rate because it's an engagement piece of content. Of course, your click-through rate's under 1% because the ad is an ad. On Instagram, I don't want to look like an ad. I want to look like an Instagram post. I want to look engaging. I want to have comments and likes and shares. And if that's not the type of post you're leveraging, then there's an opportunity there. So the next thing I would do is I just jump into their Instagram and say, look at all these posts that did so well. Anyways, I'm not going to do it for you because we're not on video anyways. But are these videos stuff that we could use for ads that we could drive to a landing page to get users to buy? So now we've done a lot of stuff. There's only really one more stage here that we're going to cover in 2-3 minutes. We're going to just go And what I want to know is, where are they sending users? What is the landing page that the user is going to? So I'm going to have to make an assumption. I can do this, but for the podcast, I'm just going to go to the first, the link with the most spend. But I'm just going to check to make sure that the next couple of ads also have the same URL. What I'm basically looking for is, where are they sending the traffic to? And is it the same one URL? Most of the time, it's going to end up being like the bestseller page, the new arrivals page, something like that. Or maybe they have a custom landing page for Facebook. Now, what I would expect already before I look at it is that this landing page probably outperforms other landing pages, because what did we see when we first started? Click-through conversion rate on the overall on the site is a 0.5. But Facebook's conversion rate is a 2%. That's 4 times better. Why is that happening? And the likelihood of that it's happening is because the landing page is relatively decent compared to where the other users might be showing up. And what this site does, I'm going to jump to do something important. I actually want to see it from mobile. So I'm actually going to sort to set my Chrome to view the experience on mobile. And what this lets me do is look at how the user can look at the products, how the experience is on mobile. Now, I could actually do this on my phone as well, but because I'm here on the podcast, I'm doing it on my phone. And I just want to see what the experience is on the landing page. And what I see is that it takes so many scrolls to get through the product pages. Now think what the experience would be like if you're looking at dresses. You likely are on a collection page where they're showing you 2 to 3 products per line, where you can see 2 to 3 lines at a time in a single screen. So you could be looking at 6 to 9 products per scroll on your landing page. And when I come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get to the section that's showing product, I need to go through 4 scrolls. So what would have been on a normal collection page, I would have seen already 10 to 20 products. I'm first seeing my first product. But then the products basically look the same. They don't, the imagery on the landing page doesn't specifically tell me for this product what is dramatically different. I have to read words underneath each of the products, rather than having an image that does the job. Maybe have very similar to what they have in their ads, where they're doing a comparison of other people's product versus their product. Maybe just tell me, what's the difference between all of these products? What is the difference between product X, Y, and Z? And have it within the image so that you don't have to take up so much real estate on this landing page to teach me what each product is. Let the image itself tell me, what is this used for? Why would I buy this one over the other one? Maybe just have, if you're targeting cold anyways, like, oh, there is no warm targeting here, right? In theory, you're expecting all these to be brand new users. What I would do here is I would just be like, beginner's guide. This is what you should buy, right? Come to this landing page. You're either beginner, intermediate, expert. You buy the package. I already have for you what you need in it. And then if you happen to know what you want to buy, on the advanced section, let me send you to an advanced section where you can pick out. Just like, what are you trying to do here, right? Maybe sort it by what you're trying to accomplish. So you come here and you're not seeing variety of product, but rather why those products. You imagine it for skincare, right? So what are you trying to do? Is it foundation? Is it mascara? Is it whatever? And so you're sending them to proper locations on the website to sort out why they're even going here. And it says some text here. Each of the things provides, it's for a different flavor, right? So, but I don't know what any of these things mean. And as a brand new user, you wouldn't expect me to know either or care about any of these flavors. So now I'm rethinking about what the landing page should look like. Potentially, this is an opportunity to create a landing page that essentially allows me as the user to just come in, go, I get it. Let me buy this one. And if I love it, I'll come back anyways. Like, okay, the specific one. And then maybe in the box, provide like a pamphlet or a video or something where the user already, product in hand, how to best use this product, how to get why they should buy other products, what the other products are used for. And trust me, your advanced user, if they are looking for something specific, they will find it. There's a search button, a big giant search button on the bottom of the top of this page. They'll just type it in. They won't have a problem. The problem is that for the average beginner, there's way too much going on in here and not enough eye-catching quick clicks I could make to actually get to a product page. And I would actually love to see a data point. We could even see, I don't even have access to anything, the difference between the landing page and the product page, right? The page we're on right now is not a product page. It is a collection page. So now I'm going to click one click to get to another collection page. And then I'm clicking into the actual product page. The number of clicks I just had to do just to get to a product page is wild. So what happens? I'm actually able to look, comparing the total number of product visits to website visits. And that number is 28%. You typically want like 80%, 60%. So already you know what's happening here is that users are getting to the site and it is simply too complicated. And you could do the same exact thing for the next stage also. Out of the people that get to product, how many are adding to cart? And the number is 10%. You want 30%. So that means that people are very confused on this website. So if we can create an experience where users get to a page, beginners get to a page, explain to me very simply what it is you're trying to accomplish, maybe give me 2-3 options of your best sellers, and then have a place to go browse other stuff for the advanced user, a button for them to go and they can pick whatever they want, but just have a beginner, an intermediate, and then just let them go, get to the product page. Because if you can improve these metrics, that is not a little bit of extra money. We're talking about if you can improve the overall landing page experience from a 0.5% to a 3-4% conversion rate, we're talking about millions of extra dollars, not like a couple, millions of extra dollars. So this is the step-by-step of what I look for when doing an overview of an ad account. What I just got to see was if your Facebook pixel set up and your overall conversion rate for your whole website. Then I get to see which audiences you've tested in the past and who you haven't, and what leverage opportunity there are for that testing. Then I can see what your average cart value is to see if it's even relevant. Like if you only sell stuff for $12, then maybe Facebook ads isn't the place for you because it's just going to be too expensive. I could then see what the conversion rate is specific for your ads. And I can see what your click-through rates and your cost per impressions and your cost per clicks and all those really important metrics are. So I can come and say, these are things that look off, right? Like I should be able to get 50% off my click-through rate. What do I have to do here? Sorry, the other way, my cost per impression, and I should be able to improve my click-through rate by showing them higher quality ads. And then I can go into the ads, see who's being targeted, see what ads are being leveraged, and I can see that there are things that can be done in this ad account everywhere from the audience to the landing page to the creative to the testing to the structure that will allow me to get relative, like not small amount, but relatively large improvements in conversion rate. So if we're looking at an ad account that's currently sitting at what we said, like 2.57, I remember from a while ago, their conversion is 2.5, between 2.5 and 2.6. I could come in here, fix these couple of things, and expect to get a 3.5 to a 5 times return on ad spend. So now for every dollar, you're making an extra $2-3 per dollar spent. And that's crazy. That's like a huge opportunity for this business. So this is what I look for in an ad account audit. I want to come in, I want to see what haven't you tested, what aren't you leveraging, what data point looks off, so that you could easily make that tweak. And I've seen brands go from literally flatlining. I came into a business. They were losing money. Every dollar they were making 57 cents per dollar. Taking a dollar and make 57 cents. Within 3 days of running ads, we got to a 3.5 times return on ad spend. They went from losing money to turning every dollar into $3.50. We generated within the first month $200,000 extra dollars in revenue. That made its own money to then be put back in to grow the business using Facebook ads. So that was the ad account audit. We covered a ton in here. I'm sure Morty learned a lot in this. And this is what I do, man. This is the life of an ad account.
It just goes to show, it really just goes to show that even successful businesses, and it happens to be this ad account, I know for a fact, is already doing over $500,000 per month of revenue. They're selling $500,000 of this product. There's success, and there's like, well, there's so much potential for so much more, and they're actionable. It's right there. It's right in front of us. And I find that to be an amazing and fascinating thing. And to all the brands out there who are watching this, who are listening to this, to anyone who's like an e-com expert, like There's always so much more that you could do. There's these little tweaks that could just make you so much more money. So don't be shy.
Come get an ad account audit.
Come on in for an ad account audit, and we'll take you to the moon. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. This was an amazing little piece, Israel. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed.
Peace.
Hopefully our 6 other listeners will also enjoy it.
They will.
If you enjoyed as a listener, tell your friends. Share the podcast.
Maybe it's time to open up a YouTube account.
Do it.
Could be.
You got the keys.
Bye-bye.